Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another PMP Q&A session. Today we will be discussing 10 more challenging PMP questions. Some of you have joined for the first time, so I'll be showing you a question for 60 to 70 seconds. You will be responding in the chat window directly to me, and then we will be discussing. So let's start question number 1. All right. James, you have chosen option A. Could you please elaborate?
It could very well be incorrect, but I was looking at your another of your videos yesterday, and it was it was 25 of the 100, I believe, principles of PMP, and it was, I can't remember the exact one. I was trying to look it up when you called on me, but it was basically, in a situation like this, it seems like, I could be wrong, that instead of forcing people into agile and working together, that you basically give them their space and let them work towards that themselves. I'm not exactly sure what implement self-organization is. I probably should know that before speaking on it, but I would hope that would be the managerial type part of this, and the rest of it is, they can find their own path forward.
All right. Thank you for detailed explanation. Vivek, you have chosen option D.
Yes, Samar. So with like implementing the adaptive approach, that is agile methodology, we should set some protocols in place first, and it should not be like unilateral. It should be with collaborative and with consensus building with all the team members. That's why I've selected option D, whether all the three options are like kind of one way. There is no uh, team consensus being considered.
All right. But Vivek, it's not just about meeting protocols or, they don't have problems regarding meetings. They're having an overall communication problem, right? So it says observes decreased engagement and communication. So by just agreeing on meeting protocols, do you think this would solve the communication and engagement problem?
I believe so, like with setting up some ground rules and rules like for the team, everyone will be attentive to the meetings, and that's how the end goal can be achieved.
All right, thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I was thinking that we've talked about being a servant leader, and when you work with the team to go right to the issue. So maybe I was thinking about guiding them on communication in a virtual environment would be a good way, rather than letting them lead themselves, or because that doesn't feel like that you're leading them to the right thing. And reduce the frequency of meetings is definitely not a way to increase communication is reduce meetings. So I eliminated C and A for doing it themselves and thinking that being the best leader would be to help them get towards the best communication they could.
All right, absolutely. So correct.
So I chose B.
Yes, that's correct. Correct option is option B, guide the team on maintaining robust communication in a virtual environment. Why? Option A, it talks about self-organization, but if we read the statement, it says, has implemented remote work for team members new to Agile methodology. So if team members are new to Agile methodology, we don't just go with self-organization. Self-organization is when team is in performing stage. When team has gone through all the stages, forming, storming, norming, and performing, then we give them autonomy and freedom. If they don't have experience, they can't be self-organized. So it's the leader's job to guide them, help them understand the processes or how to get things done in that new environment. So that's why option B is correct. Option C, reducing the frequency of meetings to ensure flexibility and ease. Yes, this would enhance flexibility and ease, but question is different. In the statement, it says observes decreased engagement and communication. So this does not address the problem. Option D, establish clear meeting protocols through collaborative consensus building. So yes, protocols would be helpful, but here the problem is not about protocols. The problem is about team members when they switch to the virtual environment, they're not able to have that level of engagement and communication. So whenever there is a gap, it's the leader's responsibility to guide and bridge that gap. So the best option is guide the team member or mentor the team member on maintaining robust communication in a virtual environment. This is a more comprehensive answer as compared to option D. Option D just talks about meeting protocols. Sorry, option D. And option B talks about overall communication. So correct answer is option B. All other options are incorrect. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, so it's a tricky question, right? So let's see. Alan, you have chosen option A.
Actually, I'm going to start with the reaction. I mean, for review and update the team charter to reinforce the importance of documentation. So in this case, the team charter is just a document that define people and their positions, right? Focus work completion as agile prioritize working software over compressive documentation. In this case, this is not focusing in agile prioritization as method. So it's also discard for me. Include documentation as a standard part of the definition of done. So if I remember well, definition of done is almost when all the product is completed. So it can be part of the TOD. So make a documentation and mandatory precondition and acceptance criteria for me is the best because if you have it's like the condition to accept the information and validate that everything is okay, we need to documentate it first.
All right. Thank you, Ellen. Anton, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, chosen option C because I think it's indeed referencing agile framework, and as we know, agile really so I cannot read this, prioritizes working software over comprehensive documentation.
All right. Isn't it so easy and simple question, Anton?
I think it's very tricky.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
I'm really not sure if I'm right or wrong. The only idea that I have in front of the question that I'm seeing is documentation is not being done by the team member. And to my understanding, documentation is important and it should be put up as a standard part of definition of done, because having a documentation in any type of project, whatever methodology we're using, why it is important, because it really helps the team to be on the same page. Everything is logged, like documented. It makes it easy to communicate with any stakeholder or with the product owner or anything. The documentation is simply means that we are acknowledging, we are communicating, we are writing the status. So yeah, I think documentation is important in every methodology. So it should be as a standard part of whatever we are doing. So that's why I picked option B, definition of done.
All right. Thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option B. Why not A? Or why not any other option? What's wrong with A and C?
I'm not sure. I was thinking that similar to Manmeet, that the definition of done would including documentation to, have it as a requirement to finish, to move it from working protocol to done completely. I don't know the reason. They didn't really say the reason why they haven't done the documentation, if there was a reason, but I don't know about precondition to acceptance. I think that, again, I think it would be documentation works in both of the methodologies. So I don't know that necessarily C would be it, because it doesn't say it's agile completely, but could be hybrid. And I think the team charter is not relevant in this question.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for detailed explanation. So let's talk about it. First, review and update team charter to reinforce the importance of documentation. Yes. Team charter contains norms and values, right? Or it's a team agreement, how team members would be interacting with each other. It has nothing to do with documentation. So you can easily eliminate option B. Option C, focus on work completion, as Agile prioritizes working software over comprehensive documentation. Yes, this is one of Agile values. So second Agile value is working software over comprehensive documentation. But in the question, we're not talking about comprehensive documentation. We're saying they do not do documentation at all. And as Manmeet and Nikki mentioned, documentation is part and parcel of all the projects. Whether it is agile projects or it is waterfall projects, you will be doing some level of documentation. So it's not like that you don't do documentation at all in agile. You need to do some level, just sort of documentation for communication purposes, for record purposes. So C is not entirely correct here because they don't do documentation at all. So we can easily eliminate C. Now, A and B. Option A, make documentation a mandatory precondition in acceptance criteria. Okay, acceptance criteria is agreed with the customer. Customer is not concerned if you document or don't. They are interested in end product. So they won't say, so no customer would say, I need a website, but at the same time, I need you to do all the documentation. They don't concerned with that. They're not concerned with how you develop that product, how you write the code, how you do the testing, how you get it reviewed. They are interested in final product. So in acceptance criteria, which is a kind of an agreement with the customer, we don't write documentation because documentation is our internal protocol. Definition of done is team's checklist to complete a work. So for example, when a sprint is considered complete, it is based on definition of done. Like we have done A, we have done B, we have done C, D, E, and let's suppose last one is documentation. Means we have written the code, we have tested the code, we get it reviewed, we remove bugs, right? And the last one is we do documentation as well. So if we make it part of definition of done, like for every feature or for each sprint, some level of documentation should be done to consider the project work complete in all aspects, then it should become part of definition of done. So correct answer is option B. Option A is also incorrect. Let's read the explanation. And why it's written it's agile? Because it clearly says you're working in sprints, right? So sprints are, used in agile methodology. All right, next question. All right, Gagan, you have chosen option B.
Yes, Amar, because they are not able to complete their planned work. So maybe the estimation, there is something wrong with the estimation of user stories maybe. So we can analyze the velocity of the team in the previous sprints, what number of user stories they are completing, and accordingly we can adjust the sprint
All right.
or take the.
Okay, thank you, Gagan. Manmeet, you have chosen option A.
This seems to be a practical solution to me, that they have struggled to complete the planned work. So the main concern is this should not reoccur in the future. So we should be analyzing and adjusting the team capacity as comparison to the total workload. So if we do that, this will restrict, or maybe this will resist the same situation to occur in the future. So that's what I thought.
All right. Manmeet, what do you understand from adjusting team capacity? What is meant by that? How do we do that?
Adjusting team capacity, like I'm not very good in that, but I can try. So the total workload, and we know the mental and the physical capacity, like total number of people and their capability skills. So that's how we divide the task and know that this can be done in so and so hours. So maybe that's how it works.
So you mean increasing or decreasing number of people? That's what we call adjustment, right?
Maybe we're increasing, decreasing the task, not the team itself. That's how I say the adjustment, the team capacity, not the actual team capacity to do the workload.
So it means you're not adjusting the capacity, you're adjusting the workload.
Maybe prioritizing some task and making it, yeah, that's how I'm thinking.
So what I'm saying is if you're not changing the number of people, means you're not adjusting team capacity. Capacity can only be adjusted if you change number of people because people complete the work. So for example, if you have one person, maybe the capacity is 100 story points. If you add another person, capacity would be 200 story points. So if you're not changing number of people or resources, means you're not adjusting team capacity. Maybe you are increasing or decreasing the workload to match with the capacity. Does it make sense?
Yes, I'm actually thinking both here, physical and mental capacity, like skill-based and physical-based. Am I making sense here? Like maybe few of the tasks should be prioritized, and that's how they divided into the skilled people, and some of the maybe not so important prioritized task that can be done in some other day with other people. That's how we divide it. Instead of losing some people or increasing, because increasing resources or people, that also costs the company, the project, the whole itself, right? So both physical and mental capacity, skill based, as comparison to the workload. Okay, maybe I'm confused myself.
Yeah, again, you're talking about workload. So you're adjusting workload, you're prioritizing task, you're changing the task and the work, right? Not the capacity. You're not changing the capacity here.
Okay.
Because you can only change capacity or adjust capacity when you add people or when you remove people. What you are saying is mental capacity. What I could understand, maybe you're working on mental well-being of your team, you're working on coaching, development, and stuff like that. If you're saying that is adjusting team capacity, it takes a long time, right? It's not just a one-day activity, like in one day you increase the team mental capacity or their psychological safety or their ability to take mental pressure or stress. So the point that
Yeah.
I want to make here is what you're saying is that's not adjusting team's capacity, that is adjusting workload. Does it make sense, Manmeet?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'll take two more comments. Nikki, you have chosen option C.
Yes, I chose C because I was thinking that if they went back and looked at the recently completed work and they hadn't, so it says they're struggling to complete the planned work and the recent ones. So if they maybe adjust the time boxes for the future ones, I know in the time box, it's the amount of time they give to allow the work to be completed, correct? And then if they change the time box, maybe they'll focus more in that allotted time to complete the sprint. And then when they go back, I think you can go back when you do your review and adjust the time needed to complete the work. I think I have that correct, but I could be wrong.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. Adjusting time boxing means, for example, currently, let's suppose you have a sprint length of 3 weeks. And then what you're doing, you'll say, okay, from now onward, sprint length would be 4 weeks. So this is called adjusting time boxes, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you're changing the length of your time box. So if you recall, we talked about inverted triangle in Agile, and that is something like this. On top, we have project cost and time. And here we have project scope. So we keep cost and time fixed in Agile, and we estimate how much work we can do in that particular available time and cost. So this is Agile. So first is increasing capacity or adjusting capacity, it would have impact on cost. Second, adjusting time boxes, it would have impact on time. So we don't do that. Adjusting time box is the last resort. When nothing works, then we see if length of our iteration is accurate or not. So we don't do that as a first step here. So, okay, correct answer is option B, review the velocity of the team in previous sprint and adjust the plan accordingly. So what is velocity? Velocity is average amount of work that team members have completed in previous sprints. So for example, in first sprints, it's 100 story points. In second, it is 120, third, 110, 105, then 125. If you take the average, that is your velocity. So you can see what's the average number of story points the team members have completed in previous sprint. So let's suppose my capacity is 100 and team members have completed, let's suppose 80. So it means I should adjust my plan according to actual performance. So instead of I'll be keeping it 80, maybe I'll be reducing it. And I'll be pulling less number of user stories. So I'm not changing capacity. I'm not changing time boxes. I'm just taking less work as per team's recent velocity. What team has done or what team is capable of doing. So correct answer is option B. Option C, adjusting time boxes. We don't do that. Consider switching to flow-based agile. It has nothing to do with the problem. If you move to flow-based agile, this would not solve the problem. All right, so correct answer is option B. All other options are incorrect. Let's read the explanation. All right, so we avoid overcommitment and incomplete work by looking at our recent velocity. All right, next question. All right, Kokila, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, Amar. So he was highly engaged in a complex project, and suddenly the interest is gradually declining. So basically, if we regularly assess the engagement, stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, we will know how we are engaging him. Is there any issues, and then we can correct. Otherwise, there is no way we can assess it, because we have included him in decision making. That's why he was previously involved, highly involved, and for some reason it's declining, and we need to assess.
All right, thank you. Gagan, you have chosen option A.
Yes, Amar, it was very tricky. I was between A and C. I eliminated B because we have already identified him. And I eliminated D because identify the preferred communication style. I can't connect it with like why he rejected the features. And yeah, if we have involved him because he has rejected the key features, if we have involved in him decision-making process, like what is his expectations, and or maybe in the review meetings, sprint review or the on the product demonstrations, then this could have been avoided. But still,
All
I'm
right.
very confused in that. I just
All right. So Gagan, isn't he involved in decision-making process? Isn't he making a
stick.
decision?
Yeah, he's making a decision.
He's rejecting the project, right? So means he has
Yeah.
decision-making power, authority, and he's involved in decision-making.
Yeah.
Okay, but good try.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Maybe it's the right answer. I'm just putting a comment or a point like they are already involved in decision-making. They're making a decision by rejecting a feature. And also there is no indication in the question that says that they are not involved in decision-making, they were not consulted. There is no such information in the question. So
Yeah,
if,
but it is saying what could have been done to
yeah,
prevent the situation. Maybe he has not been involved in previous
maybe
decision
he
making.
has
So that's
not
why.
been involved.
Or
Yes.
so what came into my mind, but I'm not sure I'm correct or not.
So you said maybe they are not involved. So this is an assumption. Normally we avoid
Yeah.
assumption. We stick to the content of the statement, right? Most of time we end
Yeah.
up making a wrong choice because unconsciously we assume something that is not written. So your logic, I like it. That is absolutely correct. But that information, maybe they are not involved. This information is not presented in the statement. That's the problem. Otherwise, the
Okay.
logic is correct. And with that logic, maybe the answer is correct. But we have this
Okay.
missing information. All right. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, I'll take one more comment. Okay, Vivek, you have chosen option C.
Yes. So we have that matrix where the highly influenced and high authority stakeholders, we need to identify that matrix regularly, and according to their authority and their decision making, we need to keep communicating with them. That's why we need to regularly review that stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, and that's how like I decided to go with option C. So
So
if we
Vivek, what
understand
would
that
happen if you
particular,
review that? What would happen?
so if we know that this particular stakeholder is more, like higher authority and have the high decision making power, we should keep them updated for each and every updates in the project, and that's how their interest would be keep continued with the decision making as well.
But stakeholders engagement assessment matrix has nothing to do with authority or decision making, or this is a key stakeholder or something like that. Stakeholders engagement assessment matrix, let me help you all. It's a document that we develop to track engagement levels. Okay. It has nothing to do with who is or the classification of stakeholders or what strategy we are using. It's tracking stakeholders engagement. Now you can answer, Vivek.
In that case, like it's the incorrect option. So I was under impression that if there is a high authority and high decision making for that stakeholder, we should get in touch continuously with that stakeholder, and that's how we can have the interest maintained all over the project timelines.
All right. And there is no indication in the question like there is some sort of lag or, you haven't done anything, right? So that's why the logic that you're using, like if we have understood like this is a key stakeholder, then we would have come up with another strategy. So there is no such indication. Correct answer is option C, but the reason is different. So if we read the question, it says a key stakeholder was highly involved in a complex project. So their involvement level was really high. However, their involvement and interest gradually declined over time. So C option says regularly review the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, means keep tracking the engagement level. Like what was the engagement level at the start? What's the engagement level right now? and what's the desired engagement level. So if we track that, and during that tracking, we get to know the engagement level is going down, then we can come up with an option like how we can go back. All other options are incorrect. Involve the stakeholder in decision-making process. They are already involved. There is no indication in the question like they were not involved. Identify stakeholders during the early stage of the project. They're already identified. So again, it's irrelevant. And identify the preferred communication style of the stakeholder. There is no indication in the question that says there is a communication breakdown. Our stakeholders are not happy with the communication. So correct answer is regularly review the stakeholders' engagement assessment matrix to see the current engagement level and desired engagement level. And if desired engagement level is not in line with current engagement level, we adjust our plans. We come up with a new strategy. So first you need to see what's going on. So correct answer is option C. All other options are incorrect. Let's read the explanation. And yes, as Onadika mentioned, stakeholders engagement assessment matrix identifies the gap in stakeholders engagement levels. So the first thing is identification. So once we identify, then we can come up with the strategy. All right, so again, it's the same principle. Like first, try to understand the situation, try to analyze, try to assess. So if you see options as assess, analyze, evaluate, give it a try, but not always, okay? Let's move to the next question. All right. Kokila, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, so any issues identified, if it should be, we need to have a retrospective thoroughly within the team. And then next actions, yeah, whatever they say, support activities should be part of, should not be part of the sprint is right. Operation team should handle support activities is also the right. But first thing we have to do is to adjust the plan for priorities for the team and take a decision as part of the retrospect and move forward.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Alan, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, so, okay. In the statement, it mentioned that posing a challenge is achieving sprint goals as planned. So from my understanding, in this case, the team is having like struggles, something to meet the requirement. So operation team should be a handle support activities. This will give like extra support from the team and get the activities done and manage on time.
All right. Thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what they meant by support activities. if that was something different than the task that was in the sprint. So I was kind of confused on to what that meant. But I was thinking if they do like a sprint review after, to go back and adjust what's happening in the sprint, because it says that they're not able to achieve the sprint goals as planned. So something is, taking more time. So I don't know if those support activities can be something that is outside of the sprint. So I guess my thought was looking at us, go back and do the review. And so I thought that D was the best one. I don't know what it meant by operations team, like give someone else the work. So I thought maybe that could be eliminated. But again, my confusion was kind of in what was the support activity. So I thought that D would be the best to adjust the sprint based on what they have happening.
All right, thank you. So yes, your understanding is correct. So for example, you deliver a functionality or first set of features and you're working on second set of features and there is a bug or problem in first set of feature, you're providing support to the end user in handling those bugs. So that is called support activities.
Okay.
And normally it is part of sprint. We do that. It's a continuous thing that team members do. So while they are working on completing sprint task, they also provide support regarding existing features that they have already delivered. So if there is any bug or problem, it's the team job to handle that. So we can easily eliminate option A, support activities should not be part of sprint work. They are part of, like, team members, they allocate some time for support activities. Operation team should handle support activities. No, the team that is performing the work, they handle that particular support for the existing features. Dedicate a resource. So this is a mindset. Whenever you see a question where a particular task is assigned to a single individual, that's not PMIism, right? Maybe sometime in actual, conditions we do that, but from PMI perspective, it's more like collaboration, it's more like collective ownership, it's more like teamwork, right? So whenever you see an option like that, dedicate a resource to oversee support activities, we don't do that. Correct answer is conduct a retrospective. Go back. Retrospective is a lessons learned meeting. Go back and review what went wrong. So team members are consistently engaged in sprint tasks and support activities, posing a challenge in achieving sprint goals. So you need to study, you need to analyze like why we are not able to achieve that goal. And then you come up with the plan. So it says conduct a retrospective and adjust your plans. So again, the principle is same. Try to understand the situation, study the process, analyze the situation, and then come up with the plan. So same principle is being reiterated again and again. So conduct retrospective and adjust your plan accordingly. Right? So option D is correct. Manmeet, you want to say something?
No. Oh, sorry. Did I raise hand? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Right. So correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right. Next question. All right. Nikki, you have chosen option D. I think it's for the previous question. You're on mute. Nikki, you are on mute.
Sorry. The D was from last time, but I am not sure what all of these mean. I don't know them all yet. And so I don't know which one this one is.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Vivek, you have chosen option D.
Yes. So the question is asking about customer satisfaction levels between two features. So looking at the options, pair comparison will only have two features we can compare.
Yeah.
Kano model, I'm not sure exactly what I don't remember. Where Moscow is like must have could have that can be eliminated because that's not giving us the right answer. Monopoly money can be like used to compare between number of stories and number of features with the highest value given to the highest customer satisfaction level. So that's why I chose monopoly money option.
All right. But Vivek, what is monopoly money? Monopoly money it's a prioritization process where team members have fake money equal to project budget. So let's suppose we have feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, 4, 5, 6, and we want to prioritize. So team members have fake currency equal to project budget. So let's suppose total project budget is 20,000. So all the team members would be having $20,000 in fake currency, and they would be allocating this to each feature. So for example, I say, I'm going to allocate 10,000 here, 5,000 here, 3,000 here, and 2,000 here. So this is my allocation. Another team member would come and they say, my allocation is 5K, 7K, and 8K. There would be another team member and they would say, my allocation is 10K and 10K. And then we prioritize. It doesn't talk about, there is no mention of stakeholders' satisfaction here. It's just a simple way of allocating budget to each feature so that you can prioritize. So it doesn't show stakeholders' satisfaction level. Okay, it's a prioritization tool, but there is no indication of stakeholders' satisfaction. Maybe that is taken into consideration in the back of the mind of team members, but during or in Monopoly money, it's not represented anywhere. So this technique doesn't show this.
Just a question here. So like if a team member decides like we can give the highest priority or highest money to the feature 1 because that has a highest level of customer satisfaction. That's how also we can prioritize, and that's how also we can get to the correct.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. But we don't show in Monopoly money model. There is no indication. You can't see, okay, what's the impact of 10K on customer satisfaction? So there is no relationship. There is no direct relationship that we can see. As I mentioned, maybe in the mind of team members, some of them, they are considering this factor. And of course, they would be considering this along with value and risk and other factors. But there is no direct linkages that we can see. Okay, this is direct link that we can visually see, or there is a mathematical relationship, or there is a statement or something like that. So it does not connect with stakeholder satisfaction directly. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so James, you have chosen option B.
I believe, excuse me, I believe the Kano model is the one that provides a baseline for customer satisfaction and product development. I wasn't sure what the Moscow prioritization model was. Term looks familiar. And then you explain monopoly money. So I said B.
All right, absolutely. So correct answer is Kano model. Let me find if I have Kano model somewhere so that I can show you. So this is Kano model. If you look at Kano model, we plot it along 2 axes. So this is vertical axis, and along the vertical axis, we have dissatisfaction and satisfaction of customer. Along the horizontal axis, we have feature provision or fulfillment and non-provision. So there is a direct relationship. We see what would be impact of providing a feature on customer satisfaction. So Kano model prioritizes features based on customers' level of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. So it directly links with customer satisfaction. This is called Kano model. And we have talked about monopoly money. This is a prioritization technique where you buy a feature by allocating fake currency. Moscow is must have, should have, could have, wouldn't have. So again, it's a categorization, but we don't know a direct link between this prioritization and the impact on customer satisfaction. The only model that gives you a representation of providing a feature with customer satisfaction and dissatisfaction, that is called Kano model, right? So it's a features prioritization model which takes into consideration customer satisfaction and dissatisfaction level. So correct answer is option B, Kano model. Okay, let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right. Vivek, you have chosen option A.
Yes, since team is like having different geographical locations, that's why option D is not possible, face-to-face meetings regularly. And they're already having meetings, but it's only miscommunication happening. That's why we need to have strict communication protocol, what needs to be discussed in meetings, and everyone should like attend those meetings, keep those meetings mandatory. So that will help to reduce the misunderstanding and miscommunication between the team. I'm not sure about option B, like whether project manager has that authority. He can suggest, but he cannot like directly invest in collaborative tools and technologies for usage. So that's why I'm little skeptical on option B. That's why I not selected that.
All right. Thank you, Vivek. Okay. Kokila, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, so basically when they are in diverse locations, it is better to have face-to-face meeting regularly so that we can strengthen the relationship. That's why I chose the other options. Strict communication protocol, it doesn't work. Invest in collaborative tools, technologies that facilitate real-time communication and document sharing. Yeah, there might be chat system like Teams and everything, but still it's better to have a face-to-face, regular face-to-face daily stand-up meeting or something like that, so that we can hear the concerns and share the concerns. That's why I chose option D.
All right. Thank you. Alan, you have chosen option B.
Yeah. So as the statement says, I'm gonna start with the rejection. Schedule face-to-face meeting regularly to strengthen relationship and ensure clear communication. They are having barriers in communication, so this will not work because will be the same. Implement an strict communication protocol. I think that is not as PMI work because it's a strict communication protocol. So we need to be flexible with the team, understand what is the best for them. Assign a communication license each geographic handle. Being honest, I didn't understand well that, but the B, invest in collaborative tools and technologies that facilitate real-time communication and document sharing. So in this case, if we have constantly sharing communication, I mean with the real time and a place where we can get all the information at the quickest, so we can improve all the communication between the team.
All right, thank you. I like your argument, like we shouldn't be strict, we should be flexible. So whenever you see an option with something like that, strict or fix this or immediately do this, do not go for that option. We don't do that, right? So we keep things flexible. We take into consideration team's dynamics. So rather than having a rigid protocol system or strict communication protocol, we don't do that. We need to be very flexible according to the needs of the team member. So option A, we can eliminate, like we don't implement a strict communication protocol with daily mandatory meeting. No, we don't do that. All right, I'll take one more comment. Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
To my understanding, if there is a communication barrier, misunderstandings and delays been happening, it is affecting the project directly. So investing obviously comes with the cost, but it is the most practical solution. That will not be time consuming. Everybody can learn the tools and techniques to get the real time communication and document sharing. That would impact in a positive way to moving forward with the project goals. So that's why I picked option B.
All right, thank you. So let's go through these options again. Option C, assign a communication liaison in each geographic location to handle all communication. So we can eliminate that, and we have just discussed the principle. Like we do not delegate responsibility to a single individual because it's a collaborative or collective ownership. So we can eliminate option C as well. Now between B and C, so when you are in a geographical situation or you are geographically dispersed, then there are different time zones. And it's not easy for all the team members to come at the same time and participate in meeting. And meeting is just one way of communication, right? So it says they are having communication barriers. So meeting is just one form of communication. There are other ways that you can use to enhance collaboration and communication. So what you will be doing, you will be focusing on having a system in place that team member can use without the need of being physically present or being present all together at the same time. So that's what we do when teams are working remotely. So we give them flexibility. So to give them flexibility, we will be investing or we will be having collaborative tools and technologies that facilitate real-time communication without the need of having all the team members together at the same time, considering they are working remotely. All other options are not as effective as option B. Why I put this question here? Because most of the time we say, okay, go for face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication or meetings, it's a challenge when it comes to team members, when team members, they work remotely or they are geographically dispersed. So what we do, we have that collaborative tools where they can update data, where they can see, where they can have real-time communication, chats, audio, video conferencing. They have different features, and face-to-face meeting would be one of them, right? So option B is a comprehensive option. Option D just, it talks about meeting, but meeting is just one way of handling communication. More comprehensive option, and that gives more flexibility, is option B. All other options are incorrect. Let's read the explanation. And there was a comment, I think it was by Vivek. He said maybe it's not the job of project manager or project team to invest in collaborative tools. So this is not like that you are building a system or something like that. Maybe you are purchasing a software. Maybe you are developing a tool yourself for collaboration. It could be simple. And these days there are very simple solution. Let's suppose Microsoft Teams and stuff like that that you can use for collaboration. There are other very effective softwares as well. Super easy to use, not very expensive. So investing in collaborative tools doesn't mean you are building a very comprehensive and expensive system. It means you're just buying a software or tool, or you're developing a tool. So correct answer is option B. Let's move to the next question. All right. I thought this would be probably the most difficult question, but let's see. James, you have chosen option B.
We went, excuse me, went over the Kanban board today in the class that we had, and it is good for what's listed here, I believe, but I remember it being about efficiency and so on and so forth as well. I kind of eliminated some of the other ones, like you said with number A before, with it mentioning strict, kind of dropped that one early in the answer because of that term. And I just thought B would probably be the most helpful compared to C and D.
All right. Thank you, James. I'm happy that you remember what we discussed today. All right.
It was like, it went 5 hours ago, so.
Yeah. All right. Vivek, you have chosen option B.
Yes. As mentioned, like we are not going with options with strict and the rigid mentality. With having issues with the efficiency due to change in tasks, it's good option to go with a Kanban where work and limit can be decided, and only that amount of work will be done into. And only if that work is done, then only we'll take the new work item. So that's why this was the most relative option. C and D is really not practical options. We cannot have a dedicated like specific types of tasks to minimize the work hour. We cannot have a training for multitasking techniques. It can be training, but it will not help the entire team to increase the efficiency. So B is
All
the
right.
most relevant correct option.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. Nikki, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I think mostly I did process of elimination to get rid of A, of course, because A says a strict time management and we want to be flexible. I think it's time wasting to say allocate specific days for tasks because that just doesn't feel efficient at all. So that would be the opposite of what we're trying to find is being efficient. I couldn't remember exactly what Kanban meant, but I thought that it was about time work limits and things like that are happening. And so I just process of elimination got to be.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. So Kanban board, it's a workflow management tool. So basic version, let's suppose it has 3 columns. In first column, you have to do. In second, you have doing or work in progress, and then you have done. So you have all the user stories or work items here that you need to work on. So let's suppose these are all work items. And then you have a concept of WIP limit, WIP limit that you apply, let's suppose in the doing column, like at any point in time, maximum we would be working on 3 user stories. So maximum number of user stories that team would be working simultaneously is, let's suppose, 3. So we have 3 spaces here. So what we will be doing is we will be pulling a user story here, here, and here. So one of the benefits of WIP limit is that team members, they need not to switch from one task to another because there is limited number of tasks. If we don't have WIP limit and team members work on, let's suppose, 10 tasks at a time, so there would be a lot of context switching. So they will be working on one task. While it is being done, they will be working on second and third. So due to that context switching, it creates or it brings a lot of inefficiency in the system. So to be efficient, you need to be focused. Focus on a task, complete it, and move to the next. That's why we have this WIP limit concept so that team members, they stay focused at any point in time. So Kanban board, when we use Kanban board and it has WIP limit, it keeps the team focused and minimizes context switching. So if we read the option, it says, use the Kanban method to visualize work, limit WIP, and reduced context switching. So this is correct option. Option A, as someone mentioned, it's, we need to be flexible. We don't do that. Allocate dedicated days. This is not practical. And conduct a team training session on multitasking. So we avoid multitasking because one of the PMI mindset is multitasking brings inefficiency in the system. So we stay focused, we stay dedicated to individual tasks. When we complete, then we move to the next task. And if you read the question, it says the team has noticed a significant drop in productivity due to frequent context switching. So how we can avoid that? We can avoid that by using Kanban board. None of the other options addresses this concern. So correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, and James, you have chosen option C.
I felt like mandatory team building activities is both it takes away from the free time. It's mandatory and wouldn't necessarily help here on a critical project phase with high workloads and tight deadlines. I didn't have much of a problem with B, but D, temporary resources, I can see that being helpful, but a lot of times you end up having to train them or at least show them where the bathroom is and where to park, stuff like that. And I don't know if they'd be able to jump in and help right away. And as we mentioned in an earlier question tonight, it does ask increased cost. I don't know if that would go outside of budget or not. I think reevaluating and trying to redistribute, if possible, would be a good first step. If nothing else, it didn't ask for a first step. And then obviously getting team buy-in would, or at least making them a part of the decision-making process would, as the answer says, increase buy-in.
All right. Thank you for detailed explanation. Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
I used the elimination method. Option A, social events are the work to foster team bonding. That is not even relevant. Team bonding is not what the question is asking. Plus, it's not relevant when it comes to work and personal balance. C, re-evaluating the project schedule and redistributing. We are actually redistributing work. The question is asking what is the effective strategy to improve the team morale and performance. So it means it's the same thing that you taught me. We are not adjusting the workload in the previous question. So that's why I eliminated C, that we are not redistributing or re-evaluating anything. It's just the question is asking for improving the team morale if the tight deadline is asked or high workload is there. Hiring additional temporary resources, you have mentioned we never go for that. So that's why I picked option B. If we have the reward system and tell the team that, okay, I know this is workload and it's high and it's tight deadline, but the outcome is this is the reward, this is incentive you're getting out of that. I think that will really help them to keep on going, maintaining quality, and they will be encouraged to do so.
All right. Thank you, Manmeet, for detailed explanation. Alan, you want to say something?
Yeah. I choose option C because in this case, the same statement is saying that the team has high workloads and tight deadlines. So if we need to reevaluate the project schedule and redistribute, the workload, because the morale is low because they are not getting in time the activities. There is no saying that is because they are paying lower or they don't feel well between them. So it's because they are not meeting the goals of the activities. So for me, it will be option C, because it says that the work is too much for them and we need to help them adjusting the work.
All right. Thank you. Gagan, you have chosen option B.
Yes, Amar, I just eliminated first because, because it is a team building outside hours, so it will not solve the purpose of high workloads. And for the C, reevaluate the project schedule. If I reevaluate the project schedule, it can hamper my tight deadlines. So it is a critical project phase. So that's why I did not go for C. And D, I eliminated due to we don't hire additional resources. And by giving them rewards, it will address both the problems, meeting the deadlines as well as the quality. So they will be motivated.
All right. Thank you, Gagan, for detailed explanation. Okay. Vivek, you have chosen option C.
Yes. So the question is for like the low morale within the team. So with option C, we are again redistributing the workload and also evaluating the project schedule. But additionally, we are making them as part of decision making, and that's how and ensuring buy-in for each and every decision. So That's how the team morale can be high, that they are part of every decision and every process. So that's why I've chosen option C over all the other options. Like option B is very near and would be correct one as well. But since not every team member is looking for rewards and recognition only, but the entire team morale is the question.
Okay. By the way, that's interesting. Like team members, they don't look for rewards. I think everybody looks for rewards, no? But it's just a comment.
Depends, yeah.
Just a comment, right? Okay.
Even in this session, we look for your appreciation that, okay, you did good.
Yes.
Just an example.
All right. So Manmeet made a comment like by doing C, we are not addressing what's written in the question. What's the most effective strategy to improve team morale and performance? But if we read the question, it says team morale is low due to high workload. So by doing C, we are actually addressing the root cause. Once we address the root cause, then ultimately it would improve the team morale. So why option C is correct and all other options are not correct? Because we are addressing the root cause only through option C. And it clearly says that team morale is low due to high workloads and tight deadlines. If high workload is a problem, you need to evaluate and redistribute the workload, right? So that redistribution actually solves the root cause that is mentioned in the question. And also keep it in your mind, one of the PMI mindsets is we do not overburden team members by giving them reward and something like that. So rewards do not justify high workloads. So implement a performance-based reward system to incentivize team member to meet deadline and maintain quality. Yes, we do that, but not at the cost of work-life balance. So if it clearly says team morale is low due to high workload, so we need to adjust that. So option C directly addresses the problem that is mentioned in the statement. So C is correct option. All other options are incorrect. And we have already discussed why other options are incorrect. So Alan is mentioned, he has an additional comment. By doing B, they will be having additional money. However, the work will remain the same and condition will not change. And it will again, lead to decreased productivity or low morale. So if we want to address this, we need to target the root cause, and the root cause is high workloads that can only be addressed through option C. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option A.
Yes, so we are looking for the compliance for the quality requirements. So with planning the quality management, we'll be having regular audits, and that's how we are actually making sure the all the compliances are in place. Whether other options are only talking about how, like, with analyzing only the quality requirements will not help, or setting the quality procedures and policies will also not help. But regular audits and uh, other compliance activities will actually help to ensure the compliance and quality requirements. So we have to plan the quality management.
All right, thank you. Okay, James, you have chosen option option D.
Yes, it's been a while since I've read the PMBOK, but it's not as intuitive as I would like, but this is where I might get a little confused. But it seems like if you're executing stage, you would have already had done the plan quality management part. You could analyze here, but I just felt D was a better answer, and I believe it's too late to. Well, you've already set up hypothetically your quality policies and procedures that you could check against those. But I felt the continuously monitoring the quality of the deliverables was probably the right call here.
All right. Thank you, James, for detailed explanation. Nikki, you have chosen option D.
Yes, I thought the same thing as James, that A and C were things that you should have already done if we're in the execution phase. Those are things that happen earlier on, and so we should already have done that. Again, analyzing would be if we were making changes, and we should have already done those things throughout the process. So I think, again, the monitoring as you go to make sure that you're in compliance all the way then was the best choice.
All right, absolutely. So correct answer is option D, as James and Nikki mentioned, and Gagan has also commented in chat window, A, B, C are done in the planning stage. And question clearly says you are in the execution stage. I intentionally added this question. You can expect some questions like this where you need to have understanding about project management lifecycle, or where we are in terms of timeline, if we are in initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and project closure, right? So you can expect similar question in the exam, but not too many in number. Some of them would be like that. So if you are in the execution stage, means you are done with planning. So plan quality management is already done. Quality requirement analysis is done. Quality policies and procedures have been developed. So now what you need to do, you need to continuously monitor the quality of delivery. If you recall, when I draw a project management lifecycle, monitoring and controlling is in parallel to execution. So when we are in execution, we should continuously monitor the quality of the deliverables. So correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. All right, everybody. So we are done with our today's session. Those who are watching this session on YouTube, if they want to join our next courses, you can contact on a number that is given here. Next course would start on June 29th. And okay, so just put your score in the chat window. What's your score in today's session? 60%, 70%, amazing. 50%, 90%. So amazing, 90% for the first time. Seems today questions are easier. 60%, 50%, 70%. No, questions were not easier. The level of difficulty is same. So you performed really well today, actually. So 70%. So a couple of questions were easy, like question number 7, 8, they were relatively easier as compared to previous. So in previous sessions, I intentionally only added the most challenging or difficult question. So this is a balanced exam. Like if you see the real exam, that would exactly look like this. So whatever your performance is in today's mock, you can simply expect similar performance in real exam, right? So good job. I can see improvement in your score. I'm happy that these sessions or whatever you're doing is really helpful. So continue this pace, and just, you don't need to delay your exam. Somebody is talking about, can I postpone? No need to postpone. Just stick to your plans and do it in less than 30 days. Keep that 30-day target in your mind, and you will be PMP. This exam is not difficult. In today's session, I was saying to my students, if you ask me how much time one should spend in preparation, no more than 15 days. But considering you have other commitments and engagements, 30 days is the ideal time to prepare for the exam. So please stick to the plan and schedule your exam if you really want to pass it. Schedule it. All right, everybody. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you tomorrow, same time with another interesting lesson. Bye.
Thanks, Samar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Bye.
Yeah.